What's up, you guys? So we got you guys at a different angle today. Now you guys are on this side instead of this side over here. But for today's video, as you can see in the title, I'm going to tell you guys the 10 things you should be looking for when you buy a car from a private seller. Now this is going to be a 3-video series. I'm going to do private sellers, used car dealerships, and big name car dealerships, because there is different things that you should look for, or different things that you should be asking for based on where you're buying the vehicle from. So I'm going to break down all of those for you guys in these next 3 videos. I don't know if they're going to be back to back to back, but it's going to be a 3-video series, and then I will put them all in a playlist for you guys for easy finding in case you ever need them. So let's get started. Okay guys, so when you're buying a vehicle from a private seller, here's my 10 recommendations on things that you should be looking for, or things that you should be asking when buying a vehicle from a private seller. The first thing you're going to want to look for, or the first thing you're going to ask for, is depending where you're buying the vehicle from. So let's say you're buying it on Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist, or you see it in a parking lot with a for sale sign. You want to read the post or the for sale sign very carefully, because there will be a lot of information that you can get just from reading the for sale sign or reading the post. You'll be able to get the year, make, and model off the vehicle if the post is filled out properly or the for sale sign is filled out properly. You'll be able to most likely find the mileage, and if there's any major problems, usually they will post it in the Facebook post or the Craigslist ad. Sometimes on the for sale signs in like parking lot cars, but most of the time Facebook, Craigslist, stuff like that, they will put like engine trouble, engine knocking, transmission troubles. So you want to try and avoid vehicles like that, unless you plan on like making it into a project car, or maybe you're just looking for something like a parts car. If you're looking for a parts car and you're looking for like fenders and doors and seats and panels and rims, if it has engine trouble, that's not really going to apply to you. But if you're going to buy the vehicle to daily drive, you want to try and read the post really good, see if they have any problems listed as far as engine troubles, or like transmission troubles, or has trouble starting up, trouble turning over, doesn't stay running, things like that in the post, and the mileage. Because if you're going to buy something for daily driving, you don't want to buy something with like 250,000 miles on it, okay? Unless you don't do a whole lot of driving. I know my neighbor, she only drives to the gas station in town, to the grocery store in town, and to her doctor's appointment right outside of town. That's the only place she goes. So something with a little bit more mileage might not be such a big problem for her, because she doesn't really go anywhere. Now in my case, I'm driving about 1,000 miles a week. So something with 250,000 miles on it, that's already a turnoff for me. I'm not going to purchase something like that, because I'm not going to be able to get my use out of it for what I need it for. Also, while you're reading the post or the description of the vehicle, another thing you want to look for is if it says it hasn't run in a while. Sometimes those vehicles that have been sitting a little bit aren't that great of a deal. Nobody knows what's wrong with them. They might need more work than they're worth. Also, the second thing you're going to want to find out about is the title. The person selling the vehicle, are they the owner of the vehicle? Is their name on the title? This is very important. I've talked to a couple people that were selling cars on Facebook Marketplace, and they're like, oh, well, the title's in this person's name or that person's name. Yeah, no. Then I want to speak to whoever the owner of the vehicle is, because you don't know if this person stole the vehicle, or if this person's selling it without the owner knowing, that type of thing. Also, with the title, you want to make sure that it is not a salvage title or a refurbished title. You want to make sure it's a legitimate title. I will try and put a picture of a salvage title and refurbished title here. Now, those titles are very, 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 very hard to get registered. At least in Pennsylvania. I don't know about other states, but in Pennsylvania, salvage titles and refurbished titles are very hard to get registered, because salvage titles usually means that the car was in like a flood or a hurricane or some kind of natural disaster, or it was wrecked, and you know, those types of things. So those two things are very important. You want to make sure the person you're dealing with is the owner of the vehicle, their name's on the title, and that it isn't a salvage or refurbished title, because it's just harder to get registered. The third thing I recommend, guys, is obviously you're going to have to meet up with these people to purchase the vehicle. Now, have them meet you at your local auto parts store, your Advanced Auto, AutoZone, O'Reilly's, CarQuest, whatever the local auto parts store is by you, because all of these local auto parts stores have the free diagnostic check, the free battery check, the free alternator and starter check, which is 4 very important things that you want to get checked if you're going to buy a used vehicle. Now, obviously, if you have your own OBD1 or OBD2 scanner, depending on the year of the vehicle you're going to look at, you can skip this step. You can just do it yourself. If they're not willing to meet you at AutoZone, take it for a test drive. During your test drive, just take it to AutoZone. Test drive it past an AutoZone and O'Reilly's and Advanced Auto, whatever the auto parts store is by you, and have them check for any codes, because it's not that hard to reset your codes. All you have to do is disconnect your battery for 5 minutes and boom, all your codes will go away. But I recommend meeting them at Advanced Auto or AutoZone or any of those chain automotive stores, and go inside, have them come out and hook the code checker to the computer in the vehicle that you're looking to purchase, and have them hook up their battery tester and alternator tester and starter tester to the vehicle as well. This way they can tell you if A, the battery's bad, the alternator's bad, or starter's bad, or if they're all great. And by them checking for any codes, they can tell you if the person who's selling the vehicle reset all the codes, because then it'll tell them that it's not ready, because, you know, or it will say pending codes, clear sign that they reset the codes and there might be something wrong. Or a code will come up and then you'll know there's something wrong with it. The next thing I recommend doing, so number 4, is pop the hood. You're going to want to check all the fluids in the vehicle. Now, you're going to want to look around. Like right here's the coolant. Has a full line on it. My engine's hot, that's why it's a little bit higher. The power steering fluid, you're going to want to make sure there's power steering fluid. You're going to want to check the oil. Right here's the oil dipstick, but my motor is hot, so you're going to want to check your oil and check your coolant level on a cool engine. So if the engine is hot, you can skip this step, do the next couple things, and then come back to it. Okay, so with the engine cold, you're going to check your oil. You're going to pull the dipstick. First thing I always look for before I wipe it off is make sure there's oil in it. Okay, you want to see that there's oil on the dipstick. Okay, and then you're just going to take a cloth, wipe it off like so. Stick it back down in your dipstick hole all the way to the bottom. Make sure it's in there. Good. Pull it back out, and you're going to want to check to make sure the reading is between the minimum and maximum, or at least closer to the max. Okay, you don't want it below the minimum. Could mean it's either burning oil or they don't take good care of it. While you're here underneath the engine, you can also take a look around, see if you see any leaks anywhere, like along the head here. If you see anything dripping out, check the hoses. You see if the hoses are a little stiff or a little squishy. Make sure they're not leaking anywhere. You know, give it a good look over. All that type of thing. One other thing when checking for leaks, you're gonna want to slide underneath. I mean, obviously you might get a little dirty, but you want to see if you see any leaks down below here. Yeah, take a look up, see if you see any leaks underneath, because leaks do come down. And then take a look at your battery. Now, you can learn a lot of things from your battery, because right here Most batteries will have the date it was installed. Sometimes it has a year on here, but I don't see a year on this battery. I did just have this put in, so I know it's a new battery. You're gonna want to check your connectors here. You want to make sure it's not too corroded or rusted out anywhere. Number 5, you're gonna want to take a little walk around the vehicle, kind of see for any major body damage anywhere. You're gonna want to look in your engine bay here. You want to take a look at the inside of your fender here. You want to make sure they're straight. You don't want them bent or bowed. You want to make sure they're good and straight on both sides. See, good and straight. Take a look at your outer fender. Make sure they're good and straight there as well. Take a look at your front grille here. Right, this front cross member here, you want to make sure this isn't bent or misplaced anywhere. Like, it's good and straight. It's not dented in here. It's not bent this way. Sometimes you can kind of go like this a little bit and take a look down there. Make sure there's nothing. Take a look at your front bumper. Front bumper looks good. Okay, and I guess there's the little toe connectors there. Thing you want to do is you want to check out your tires. You want to kind of stick your hand here. You want to see if they're extra worn down, if they're like flat on one side or flat on the other thing. If you have a penny and you stick it in the tread, and generally you don't want to see Lincoln's hair, and you want to see less of his forehead. So right here, most of his hair is covered up. Most of his hair is covered up. A little bit of his hair is covered up. And you want to go around and do this at every single tire. What this is going to do, like this tire here has great tread. See? Great tread. Great tread. You can't really see his head too much. See? Great tread. What this will tell you is if it has an alignment issue and if it needs tires. So you want to go around, do it at each side. Now this tire here is worn down just as much as the one on the other side, which is a good sign. And then the one on the back here on the passenger side needs a tire, which, you know, it's an older van. So as long as your tires are all worn fairly evenly, you should be good. If one of them is way worn down than the rest, that could be an alignment issue, could be a tie rod issue. You want to make sure they're all kind of evenly worn. Now, I know the one on the back of the van is a lot better tread than the rest because that's the spare tire, because I got a flat. Now, once you do that, you're going to want to go underneath the vehicle. So you're going to want to go down underneath right to here. You want to take a look around underneath. You don't want to see any major rust. And if you see any rust, you want to give it a tap, but obviously it's solid. You can take the frame, give it a little tap. Okay, it's all good and solid. If you have a little camera, you can take a little camera, give it a little tap as well. And then the exhaust, you want to make sure your whole exhaust is there all the way to the back. That's important. One other thing when looking in your engine bay is you want to make sure that it's not overly clean. If it's a little bit clean, fine. But if it's like overly clean and all looks brand new, chances are they're hiding something from you, which is why I recommend having them meet you at an auto parts store so you can get the codes checked, see if they reset the codes or if there's any codes that pop up, because sometimes you can't catch it with the naked eye. While you have the engine cool, you want to take your oil cap off, okay? And you want to take a look under the oil cap. You want to make sure it's not all yellow and crusty. Take a little look in there. Right now my engine's still a little warm. And then you want to do the same thing with your coolant. Once your engine is fully cool, you want to pop your coolant. It should be a bright color, like a red or orange. That looks fine. And then your power steering fluid, you want to open up. You want to make sure it's not black. That looks fine. You want to make sure there's no things floating on it. All good there. And then with a fully cold engine, if you want, you can open your radiator cap, but you only want to open that when the engine is fully cool. If there's any kind of temp on the engine, you don't want to open that one up. So number seven, you're going to want to get inside the vehicle. Give the interior look over. You want to make sure there's no like major cracks in the dashboard. You know, there's no like huge tears in the seats. You know, no burns in the carpet or anything. Just a little bit of cosmetic stuff. You're going to want to sit in the vehicle and you're going to give it a start. Now, let me grab the key here. You're going to give it a start. And you're going to check the dashboard. Now, obviously, the only light here is the power door light, which I'm not worried about. There's no other lights on the dash, which is good. The brake light, and that's only because the e-brake is on. But there's no check engine light. There's no oil light, anything like that, which is good. Another thing you want to do while you have it running is you want to check the door or the windows. Okay, make sure they go up and down. I know the window motor on that side is dead, so that one doesn't open. Window lock, door lock, and unlock works here. And then obviously you want to check the one on that side as well. And then one thing that I always like to do is turn on the air. Try the different settings. Make sure it blows out the different vents. Okay. Now obviously the van is cold right now, so it's not going to blow out hot air right this minute. But if you do it when you take it for a test drive, it should blow out warm air or hot air, depending what you have it set to. And if it's the summertime and it's above 58 degrees, you can try the AC. But usually, yeah, like it gets a little bit extra cold when you hit the AC button, which should be fine. But if it's above 50 degrees, you can try the AC, see if it blows cold air, especially while you're taking it for a test drive. Don't forget to do that. And if you want, you can test out the radio and stuff. But I'm not too worried about the radio so much, but it does work. So you want to turn on the headlights. You want to give it a little look. Make sure the lights are on everywhere. Got a little bit of a squealy belt, but I'm going to be replacing that belt soon, so that's not a big deal. But you definitely want to check all your lights. Make sure your brake lights are on. That'll be brake lights. Your tail lights are all lit up though, if you can kind of see it in the light there. Don't mind the birds. Next thing you're going to do is you're going to come over to your exhaust pipe and you're going to have the person start the car. Now what you're going to look for coming out of the tailpipe is just like this. You want some clear smoke. You don't really want any like blue smoke. If there's a little bit of white smoke coming out at first, that's fine as long as it goes away. But see, it's pretty clear there. And that's always a good sign. If you see like blue smoke or black smoke coming out, I probably wouldn't buy the vehicle. But that little bit of smoke like that, that's fine. Being that it is 30 degrees outside, you kind of expect to see something like that out here. Also, before you take it for a test drive, you're going to want to come to the front after you check the exhaust. Give it a good look over. Okay, and then next thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to have them start the car. You want to look for any kind of movement in the engine when they start it. Also, now would be a good time to double check, see if you see any leaks. Okay, I don't see any leaks. Everything looks good. Everything looks connected. All right. So now, up until this point, as long as everything has checked out, you want to take it for a test drive. Now, usually I kind of let the car run for about 10 minutes before I do take it for a test drive because you want to see if it overheats at all. The van's good. It's at a normal operating temp and it's not overheating. You want to give the steering wheel a good turn all the way one way and all the way the other way. See if you hear any power steering whine. And then you want to take it for a test drive. Now, you want to give it an in-depth test drive. Okay, you want to put it in drive. Oh, e-brake off. Put it in drive, give it a little drive around. Okay, and you want to make sure on your test drive that you're turning the wheel, give it a good loop-de-loop. Give it a good turn. Take it out on the main road. Get it up to 15, 20 miles an hour. Take it on the highway and exit, or drive it down the road. And then get on the highway and take the highway one exit back to where the AutoZone is or wherever you met up. And make sure it's all good. Get it up to 50, 60 miles an hour. Take it for a good 10 or 15 minute test drive, because you want to make sure there's no issues. Also, you want to test out the other gears as well. So you want to put it in low. Make sure low sounds good. You want to put it in second here. Make sure that sounds good as well. Okay. Now obviously in low and in second you can't go stupid fast. You can probably get 10 15 miles an hour in the low one and maybe 20 miles an hour in second, depending on the vehicle. Okay, and then also you want to test the brakes out. So you want to give it some good brake pressure, and you want to test out the neutral. Make sure it goes in the neutral, and then you want to test out the reverse. So make sure you give it a good back up in reverse. All right, so transmission sounds fine. That's great. And then after you take it for a test drive, give a look at the temp gauge again. Leave the vehicle running for about another 10 minutes or so after you test drive it, just to see if it overheats. Chances are, if it made it this far and didn't overheat, it's not going to overheat, but you never know. So let it run the extra 10 minutes or so just to see. When you get back from your test drive, before you turn the vehicle off, here's another thing you want to look. It's been running a while. You took it for a test drive. You want to check and see if there's any leaks now. Being that you put it through the test, you put it through the ringer. You want to see if there's any leaks anywhere. All the fluids still look good. The belt is okay. It's moving like it should be. The slight squeal in it could just be need to be tightened down a little bit, or it might need to be replaced. But those belts are like $5 or $6, and on the Toyota minivans, they're fairly easy to replace. I believe this is number 9. You want to go around the car and you want to open all the doors. Okay, because you want to make sure everything opens and everything closes properly. So you're going to open the hatch, it opens, it shuts. The sliding door opens, shuts. Passenger door opens, shuts. Driver's door is open already. And then you want to do the same thing from the inside as well, because you want to make sure all the internal door handles work. Sometimes people don't do this, and then then people get a vehicle and they're like, oh, well, this door doesn't work and I bought it like that. Well, you should have checked it before you bought it. Another thing you want to look for is you want to see if there's any kind of like stickers in the window. Like like for oil changes or anything like that. And after your test drive, you also want to make sure you still have no lights on. Let me close the door there. Alright. Yeah, so you want to make sure there's still no lights on outside of the brake light and the power door light, which is fine. And then, guys, the 10th and final thing that I recommend you keep in mind when you buy a car from a private seller is you are buying a used car, okay? You're not going to a Mercedes dealership and buying a brand new Mercedes off the lot. Granted, I don't recommend buying a used Mercedes with too many miles on it, but that's neither here nor there. But you gotta understand that whatever vehicle you're buying from a private seller might have some cosmetic issues. It might have, can't go into it like you're getting a brand new 2019 off the lot, okay? Like my 300 over here has the clear coat going bad on the hood. Not a deal breaker, but some people will walk away because the clear coat's peeling there. You know, it's a used car. You're not gonna get something totally grand spanking new. And little tiny things like the window motor on this side doesn't work. Not a big deal. Not a big deal. Especially now, it's in the wintertime. Like, most people aren't gonna be opening that window anyway. And you know, right here, this plastic piece for the light doesn't stay in, but the light still works. You know, that's not a total deal breaker. The light still works. So you want to keep that in mind also when you're buying a used car. You're not buying something brand new. So as long as everything else checks out, little minor cosmetic things shouldn't really keep you from buying a good vehicle. Okay guys, so that's the end of the video. Hopefully this helps somebody out there with purchasing a car from a private seller. These are the 10 things that I always personally look for, or 10 or 11 things that I always personally look for when I go buy a used car from a private seller, and the questions that I tend to ask when I do. And if you ask all these same questions, chances are you'll get a great deal on a used vehicle. So guys, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and then click on the little bell so you'll be notified every time I post a video. I'm trying something a little bit new. We're going to try and do 4 videos this week. So let me know what you guys think down below. Should I post 2 videos a week, 3 videos a week, or 4 videos a week? Because I am trying to get as many videos and content out for you guys as I can, so that you guys have all the information you're going to need for all your car stuff. And I will see you guys in the next video. Good vibes, good cruising.